Getting you ready for Sacramento Kings basketball.
He's got the bucket!
Game night is presented by Power Business Technology, your locally owned and managed Toshiba copier dealer. Contact them at 844-POWER-BZ or visit them at powercopiers.com. Here's your host, Scott Marsh, alongside the high flyer, Henry Turner.
And a very pleasant good afternoon to you. Welcome into game night right here, Sactown Sports, 1140. Scott Marsh along with the high flyer, Henry Turner. It's the Kings and the Mavs. Second night of the back-to-back for the Kings' final back-to-back of the regular season, really of the year, because we know there won't be back-to-backs in the playoffs as well. Sacramento, we do know they are the Pacific Division champions, wrapping that up in New Orleans.
Nice.
Big-time win against the Pelicans. Boy, they looked good last night, and
Congrats.
It's fun. Third time in the 38-year history of the Kings. I don't know how I feel about a potential Pacific Division championship banner going up. There's some scar damage going back to 20 years ago with the Lakers. I still think you celebrate, you enjoy it, and you make the most of it.
Why not a banner, Scott?
Well, as you'll recall, I mean, we put up that Pacific Division banner back in the 02 season, and of course. The pain of losing in 7 games. There were some.
But it had nothing to do with the banner.
I agree. It was different. I agree. But there were some people who had some fun with the fact that it was the Pacific Division Championship banner, not a championship banner or anything. I get. You know what? I think you celebrate the good things in life, right? And this is one of them.
You know what? It's been 16 years, man. Put a banner up, okay? You know, these guys deserve that.
They do.
Okay. At the end of the day, they might not get a championship, but they deserve to get accolades for what they have done so far. So give those guys a banner.
And specifically in the Pacific Division, when you're looking at the Suns, you're looking at the Lakers, the Clippers, the Warriors, all 5 of these teams are going to be playoff teams, and the Kings are the best of the 5 in the regular season.
You know what, Scott? Not just playoff teams. Each and every last one of those teams are championship or bust teams. And if the Sacramento Kings have outplayed each and every last one of those teams, they deserve a better. Matter of fact, you know what? Where's the stitching? I'll go get it.
You're going to make that banner right now?
I'll make the banner.
All right. Fair enough. I'd like to see how that one turns out. But yes, you've convinced me. Put the banner up. The Kings have earned it. And truthfully, if you're going to go back to the beginning of the season and you were going to look at the top 5 in the Pacific Division, you would have the Kings number 5.
Probably would have. Dead last. You would have had those guys dead last because nobody believed that this team was going to be able to do what they have done. So at the end of the day, they deserve big-time kudos, if you ask me.
I absolutely agree. And, of course, last night, 121-103 over the Pelicans to get number 48 on the win ledger for them. A game in which first few minutes weren't so great, but everything else was wonderful. This was the Sacramento Kings team that we've been accustomed to seeing for the most part all season long.
You know what? Once again, fully staffed. I'm starting to believe this, Scott, that out of the 8, 9 guys, sometimes 10 that Mike Brown put out there on the floor, I'm starting to feel like if one of those components are missing, it throws everything off for them. Because when you took Herter out, the Kings missed Herter big time.
Yes.
What he brings to the table. They missed him big time, and they still had Fox and Sabonis on the floor.
Right.
They missed him big time. When Herter came back, but you lose Monk.
Yep. Hurt him big time.
Hurt the Kings big time. But when everybody is out there as a cohesive unit, that basketball team, man, shows what they can do.
No doubt. The sum's greater than the parts, and it was great to have Monk back. He was 6 for 9 from the field, 17 points. Obviously, the Kings starters were great. Keegan Murray was incredible from outside last night. 7 threes, over 200 on the year now. So many great things to talk about. Sabonis, his 13th triple-double. He's one shy of Chris Webber's all-time record, and he's done it in 1 year.
I mean, Sabonis is just a freak, okay? He is just a walking triple-double. He, you come to expect him to do that. And, and I honestly think we take him for granted because he walks into those triple-doubles. But, at the end of the day, or when I watched that game, Scott, I thought Malik Monk really, really set the tone because, like you said, in the first quarter, the Kings really didn't come out on fire. They came out missing a lot of shots. It's when Malik Monk comes off the bench and the way he plays and the energy that he brings to this basketball team. Now, all of a sudden, guess what? Keegan Murray start feeling froggy. He knocks down some shots. All right. Now, De'Aaron Fox come down. He hit a shot, and you know the special type of camaraderie him and Malik Monk has together. So when both of those guys are on the floor together, they play off of one another. And then he sets up Sabonis better than anybody else on our team. That high pick and roll that Malik Monk and Sabonis run together, I don't care if they run that every play down.
I feel like they have chemistry like Halliburton and Holmes used to have.
Exactly. The same type of chemistry Willie Cauley-Stein and Rajon Rondo had. It was like, okay, they're okay when they're not on the floor together, but when they're out there together, they make it happen.
They definitely make it happen, and the Kings made it happen last night. It was a great effort, and again, for Sacramento, another road win. The Kings on the season now, 25 road wins. They're 25-14 on the road, High Flyer.
Man, I mean, they playing good basketball. And, Scooter, when you start looking at the overall scheme of things, because at the end of the year, we look at everything. We go back and we analyze this, we look at that. But when you start talking about winning a series, we always talk about the team that can win on the road normally is the team that advances. The Kings have proven that they don't mind playing on the road. I'm cool with that.
And again, we talk about the Kings' Achilles being lack of defense. Well, it's not lacking on the road. They're eighth in defensive rating on the road.
For some reason, now that might be one of the biggest questions in the league, besides how can the Golden State Warriors just lose every game on the road, but the Kings can go out and manufacture a number 8 ranked defense when they play on the road.
Yeah, no doubt. There's so much to break down here. That's why we've got an hour. We'll take you until 5 o'clock tonight. If you want to join the program, you certainly can. 1-800-920-1140. We're up and running on our YouTube chat room as well. Join us there. At Sactown on YouTube. We'll be talking during the breaks there as well. All right, Sacramento, Pacific Division champions. Check that off. Now, you've got 3 games left in the regular season. You've got 3 tries to get 2 wins to get to 50. You're 2 games back in the number 2 seed. You also, first and foremost, want to make sure everybody is healthy.
Right.
So if you're Mike Brown now that you know you have the Pacific Division Championship locked up, how are you playing this on a second night of a back-to-back with all those other things in mind?
Well, Scott, you really have to look at their goal. And for us, it was to make the playoffs.
Yep.
Okay. Now, the Pacific Championship, I don't think that was a goal for this basketball team. I think more importantly for this basketball team was the number 50, to get to that 50th win. Now, if that's still the goal, you come out and you play basketball as normal. You play basketball as normal. You throw everybody out there. You try to win this basketball game. But if going into the playoffs, and I'm with you on this, it's kind of like a slippery slope. If going to the playoffs is your number 1 priority, healthy, then you start playing with guys' minutes. So, it's kind of like pick your poison, which one you want to do.
Everything's great until, and you don't even want to say it, but if like some freak injury or something happens, then it all blows up in your face, right?
You know what? And the crazy thing about it, Scott, is that you really can't control that. That's destiny. I mean, think about it. Kevin Durant got hurt in layup line.
Yep.
He might not even play, but he got hurt in layup line. Yep. So it's not like you can take these guys and wrap them up in bubble tape.
Nope.
And say, okay, we're going to hold you out. And then when playoff come, we're going to cut the tape and let you loose. You can't do that. You can't go out and play scared.
If it were truly a scenario where the Kings were locked up in the 3 and they couldn't do anything else, I would say then you start playing it accordingly. I mean, look at the Nuggets, for example. Jokic, he's got a little bit of a calf strain. He did play last night, but they sat him out the prior 3 games. He played limited last night. And obviously that's how you would handle the situation if you're Sacramento. Now, we do have to say, because the Grizz, they're still catchable here. And for the Grizz tonight, looking at their report in terms of who is going to go and not go for them, this has just been updated. Let Let me pull this up. Ja Morant, doubtful for tonight's game. They're playing the Pelicans tonight.
Right.
Other players are going to be sitting out for them as well. So be interesting to see how they take that on, because I still feel like there's a huge difference between the 3 and the 2 seed, because right now you've got Warriors, Clippers, and Lakers, all 5, 6, 7. Clippers and Lakers play each other tonight. If the Lakers win that game,
right,
they're tied with the Warriors. Clips fall down to 7,
right,
which makes you think like it's going to be Golden State or the Lakers.
Or LA. True.
So,
and that's why, like I said, when we look at the overall thing and we go back and start looking at games, that one game, and think about it, Kingston had a great season.
Yeah.
Great season.
Right. But if they beat San Antonio,
beat San Antonio, one game, it's a whole different ball of wax.
Yes, exactly. And that's why that one hurts. And because even though you beat a Pelicans team, which has been playing great, and that's a great feather on the cap, obviously, for Sacramento, but by beating the Pelicans, you force them down into the 8th seed.
Right.
Now, as a player, you can't worry about who you're going to be playing in the postseason, but as a fan, you're like, boy, the Pelicans might be the matchup that you want the most in the first round.
And, it comes down to this. No basketball team is good enough to start playing that game to where, you're in the second or the third spot and you start trying to, figure out how could you just play that one team that might be in 8, might be in 9. Yeah. Is that team going to even make it out of the play-in game? No team is that good. So, I think for the Sacramento Kings, you have to have the mindset of, we don't care who's there.
Yep. As a player, we can beat anybody.
I mean, as an analyst, as media,
yes,
yeah, we're the ones that's like, okay, Paul George might be iffy. Okay, what's going to happen with LA? Would you rather see the Warriors? Is Wiggins coming back? We don't want to throw in all these other scenarios. The Sacramento Kings, don't worry about who's there.
Yep.
You just worry about how you're playing and are you playing at your best rate.
Absolutely right. And speaking of Wiggins, there's a great chance we're going to see him suited up on Friday night when the Warriors come here. What a close to the season it is. How fun is this to actually be talking about all of this as we're just 4 days from the conclusion of the regular season, and we know the Kings are going to be hosting a postseason game the following weekend. This is great stuff. We'll break it all down. Game nights coming your way. It's brought to you by Power Business Technology. Experience for yourself how the power of family can help you with all your business copier needs. Give them a call today, 1-844-POWER-BZ, or go to powercopiers.com. When we come back, we'll continue to break down everybody's scenario, the games going on tonight. Luka and Kyrie, are they shutting it down? Are they going to be playing? We have some info on that as well. And an Alex Len sighting again last night. He is playing. It's like we haven't seen him for 70-plus games, and all of a sudden now he's a main cog in the rotation. Hey, we'll get your thoughts on that and a lot more. Game night right here, Sactown Sports, 1140.
The only place you'll find Malik Monk is Sactown Sports.
Oh, my. What?
There we go. Had to take the commercials out on YouTube.
All good. Kyle, how are you, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic tonight. How are you?
We're good. What do we got going on in the chat room today?
Well, we started off with making fun of you for not wanting to hang the banner up at Golden One
That's
Center.
That's fair. I'll take that shame.
It's okay. Like
what's most people feel like it's a definite place up?
Well, they'd say if you don't want it, they'll take it. And
okay.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have a ton to celebrate. It's the third in 38 years. I think people want the banner up.
The problem, Kyle, is, and you're not, but I'm old enough to remember when that banner was up at Arco Arena, and it was so painful because we never won a series against the Lakers, and the Lakers just kind of threw it in our face as they won championship after championship. And boy, don't we love seeing our little Pacific Division championship banner hung. So, I have that, but Henry's absolutely right about this one. Like, this is a season of celebration. What the Kings have done trumps anything from any prior era. We should celebrate the fact they're winning the Pacific Division championship, regardless of what else happens from here. That is a great accomplishment.
That's what I'm saying.
You're right.
It's about these guys. You can't look at a banner and start talking about, well, what happened with Chris Webber and
You're
Mike
right.
Bibby. Those guys haven't been here in decades. Okay, we love them. They were our beloved Kings, but at the end of the day, That's old news. How about celebrate what these guys have accomplished? Put a banner up.
You're absolutely right. And I do want to see you make the banner. In fact, I'm starting the High Flyer banner petition.
That's right.
And I want to see you put it up in the rafters at G1C.
Now, I don't know about going up that high. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm afraid of heights.
Not going to see you on the catwalk?
You don't want to pull it up like a flagpole situation?
Bro, I'll pull it up. That's no problem. He asked me, did I want to go up in the rafters?
Yeah.
You know what? I don't want to go higher. I don't want to go no higher than the suite level. That's it.
Fair enough. All right. What else are we talking about in the chat today?
Well, people were asking why, Dallas is a favorite. Are the Kings resting? We'll get to that a little bit later.
But I heard latest Kings were 6.5-point dogs in this game.
Yeah, and I'm guessing it's because we're resting somebody. We just don't know who.
I haven't heard that, but also Dallas is at home.
Mm-hmm.
They need the game. They've been off for 3 days. We're on the second night of a back-to-back, all that type of stuff. But yeah, that seems ridiculously high to me, considering how the Mavs have been playing, especially.
My question is, once again, how do we go to be underdogs? We are the better team.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's why I'm guessing someone's resting and we don't know about it.
Well, again, I'm not expert enough on this, but I bet if you took just records, like in the regular season, of teams that are at home with 3 days of rest, taking on a team on a back-to-back on a second night, I bet you the record's pretty good for the home team.
Yeah, I bet you that has
That's
a lot to
good
do
point.
with it. You sound like a guy that, knows your stuff around Vegas, but I never looked at it
10
that
seconds.
way, but okay.
Yeah, I'm just guessing, High Flyer, not from experience.
Mm-hmm.
All right, back to radio. Welcome back into Game Night right here, Sactown Sports, 1140. Scott Marshall on with the High Flyer, Henry Turner. Again, we're here till 5 o'clock tonight, getting you ready for Kings Live pregame. Jason Ross will be in with Henry for that. Tip tonight, 5:30 in Dallas. Final game between these two teams. Of course, they split the first two that were here at Golden One Center. And if you recall, that was a fun weekend because that was the second game for Kyrie in a Mavs jersey. He came out. He was brilliant. The Kings played an awful first half. Speaking about first half woes at home, that was one. It was an awful first quarter, if I remember specifically. And Dallas kind of took it to the Kings on Friday night. Saturday night, Luka came back.
Right.
First time Kyrie and Luka together. The Mavs are going to win a championship. Watch out for the Dallas Mavericks. And then, of course, the Kings responded and it was a great game. Kings able to pull that one out. And then we know what's happened with Luka and Kyrie since. This project has not worked. We told you before the break we'd give you an update on Luka and Kyrie. And the word is they are both available tonight. So it looks like they will play. Rumor was they were going to shut it down. The Mavs are in an interesting position here, Henry. I want to break this down, get your thoughts on it, because their draft pick is in the mix as to what they do now, right? So if they've got a top 10 protected draft pick, okay? So if they make the play-in, they're giving up their draft pick. I mean, that's what it's coming down to, right? I mean, so if there's any organization right now that would have the incentive to take, it's Mark Cuban, because if you could lose enough games and get out of that or into the top 10, you've got your protected draft pick. Now, Luka said prior to today that if they've got a chance to get into playoffs, he is not sitting out. He wants to play. It looks like they're going to. But even if the Mavs get into this play-in situation, and I know they put a lot into it to get Kyrie and all of that, they're not going anywhere in these playoffs.
That's the catch-22 type situation.
What do you do?
When you're an organization, okay, you have your top guy who wants to play.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure Kyrie probably wants to play also, and everybody that's in the jersey
players want to play.
Players want to play, right? But what do you do as an organization? Because sometimes you have to do what's best for the organization. I will never say a team wants to tank at all. But at the end of the day, when you're looking at that type of scenario, Scott, to where you're going to lose your first pick if you go higher than a certain number, and you don't have the team to even try to compete after a certain level. So it's like, damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah, and do you really think the Mavs are going to get out of the play-in? I mean, like looking at the Western Conference standings, again, if they were to get in the play-in situation, right now they'd have to beat the Lakers, the Pelicans, and the Timberwolves.
Right.
And that's not going to happen. I mean, they're not going to win 2 games in that scenario. And even if they do, they're looking at most likely the Nuggets or the Grizz.
Like I said, it's one of those situations to where you're only going to compete to a certain extent.
Yeah.
You really can't give your end all be all and say, okay, we're going to go for a championship unless they actually think that they can win a championship. This is us, Scott, looking at their team saying, okay, you guys aren't good enough to be champions.
Yep.
But if they feel like in their heart that they're good enough to be champions, let them go.
I don't feel like in their hearts they feel that they could. Who knows? I mean, obviously, Luka, Kyrie, you don't become that level player without having that belief. But I don't believe anybody on the King or the Mavs upper staff believes that either.
No, I mean, at least they haven't showed it so far.
No, they haven't. So, anyways, looks like Kyrie and Luka are playing. Of course, we'll have more throughout the afternoon and prior to tip-off. G-Man will get us caught up on that. Jason Ross will as well. Also, going into the break, we mentioned Alex Len. All of a sudden, he's become a big piece of this team. He was in the wilderness, and now he's back in the fold. What's going on with seeing Alex Len all of a sudden?
Scott, I joke about that, man. It's like Alex Len is a Tyrannosaurus Rex. You've always heard of this elusive Tyrannosaurus Rex, but you never see him. So now all of a sudden, he's here and he gets in the games and starts making a good contribution. Let's also say that Alex Len brings an element to the Sacramento Kings that they really don't have, and that is a 100% legitimate rim protector.
He played well last night.
He blocks shots.
Yeah.
And when he don't block shots, Scott, he make guys change. He's a shot changer. You just can't go out to 7-Eleven and find 7'2".
No.
You can't go to the shelf and say, give me 2 of those. This guy is special when it comes to that. And that's one of the main reasons why he has been in this league so long.
No doubt. He played 13 minutes last night, 4 points, 4 rebounds, 2 blocks. He gave up 4 fouls, which is important too. Another body who can bang and take some fouls that Sabonis might get otherwise. I guess the obvious question is here, where has he been? I know they were playing Holmes a little bit. Obviously, the Holmes experiment, I think that's over. We're not going to see Rashawn Holmes in any meaningful minutes for the remainder of the year, but why not Len earlier if this is the case now?
That's the huge question. And honestly, Scott, I think it's already been answered because Len isn't a juggernaut when you start talking about on the offensive side. When you start talking about, okay, do you have someone in there that's going to be able to run that high post offense? That's not Len's stilo. He might be a pick and dive to the rim and finish around the rim at best. You're not throwing the ball down to Len and say, Len, create a double team or score at the basket. I think offense was more so a precedent for the Kings than it was on the defensive end. But then when Mike started looking at the team saying, okay, well, fellas, we need something at the rim. Well, you got to go way back into your creator record to say, I need that one record that's going to get the party started. And that's Alex Len. No doubt. And obviously, in part, it's going to be matchup related. Valanciunas is a good matchup for Len, just somebody who can match up with him size-wise. Right. We get that. And to your bigger point, coming off the Sunday game, against San Antonio, again, we've seen it many times, like the Kings not physical enough on the defensive end, giving up too many offensive rebounds. That's obviously a bigger part of it. As we get to the playoffs, that becomes even more important. You need guys that's going to be able to go out and I'm trying to think of the right word, but what the term we use, Scott, is lay some wood. Mm-hmm. You need guys that's going to go in there and make the other team feel them. So when you go down our roster, I'm like, you might have maybe 3 guys that really don't mind putting their bodies on the line defensively. You have Davion Mitchell, who does it at a very high level. Yeah. All right. He played great last night, by the way. Who does it at a very high level. You have Trey Lyles. Trey Lyles is going to come in and give you everything he has. Love what that young man is doing. And then you have Alex Len. Yep. Alex Len is going to go out there and give you everything that he has on the defensive side because that's what he does.
No doubt. And if anybody probably is losing their minutes with Len playing, it's Metu, right? He's the guy who is going to fall out of the rotation.
Yes. But Metu is one of those guys to where you can kind of let that hang because you have Trey Lyles. Trey Lyles is that legitimate stretch four, and that's if they're going big, okay? If the team is going big, Trey Lyles is perfect at that stretch four because I honestly think he's an asset because he can knock down that three and he has no problem beating his guy off the dribble, and he can do that, get to the basket and score. He can do that. But if you're going small, right? If you're going small, you slide Trey Lynn over at that 5 spot and you run either Keegan Murray or Harrison Barnes at the 4. Now you stretch the floor totally and you let the Sacramento Kings offense do what it does.
Yeah, no question. It's just another combination. The Kings can actually play big if they want to.
They can play big, but more importantly, they have a guy that's going to stand in the middle and protect the rim somehow.
Yep, and those 4 fouls, they're going to count.
Oh, no, they're going to count. He's going to foul.
Yeah, they're going to count.
Oh, no doubt. He's definitely going to foul.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, so Alex Len sighting, which, I think we'll see more in the playoffs. We talked about Davian. Again, we know how good he is defensively. He was really good last night, although the defensive player of the game ended up being the equipment manager.
McGill.
Again, Mike Brown. This is what you got to love about Coach Brown. This is the thing that I think's made it so fun for everybody in this community. Mike Brown has brought everybody in. I mean, we know how great it was when Gary Gerald got the defensive player of the game and wore the shade. That was awesome for his 3,000th game with the Kings. And to honor a longtime equipment manager, that is big time stuff too.
You know what I like about Mike Brown? Mike Brown seems to be the type of coach that loves to bring everybody along with him. Yep. Everybody that has something to do with this team. He seems to be the type of coach to where, no matter if you're on the high part, no matter if you're on the low part, you are a part of what we are doing as an organization. So you are a part of our family. You need love also.
Yep. No doubt. And it's great to have everybody feel included into something that has been so much fun this year. All right. When we come back, we'll look at the NBA schedule. We'll get caught up from last night's games as well. Joel Embiid, has he finally sealed up the MVP award? I think he did it prior to last night, but that 52 against the Celtics might have been the exclamation point. We'll get into that and a lot more. It's game night. It's brought to you by the Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Sacramento. If you have a heart of service and you want to do something good for kids who could really use some support in our community, give Big Brothers, Big Sisters a look. There's so many kids age 7 to 18. They're being raised in single parent homes. They're looking for some outside mentorship. Perhaps you could provide it. Call 916-646-9300 or go to bbbs-sac.org to learn more. More of Game Night right here on Sactown Sports 1140.
All righty, we're still live on YouTube.
All right, Kyle, what's the latest, my man?
Well, just real quickly, what are we feeling about Lakers-Clippers tonight? What is our rooting interest? What is our desire for maybe a 6-seed situation? How are we feeling about that tonight?
Okay, well, let's break this down. They're both 41-38. This game is going to decide most likely who is going to be in the playoff and who's going to be in the play-in. The Lakers are coming off a game last night where it went to overtime. LeBron played 42 minutes. Said it didn't help having to play that much. I don't know if he's playing yet or not. Maybe you could find that out for us, Kyle. AD, is he playing on a back-to-back? He's not played in back-to-backs. Who's going to be out there? But as a fan, I want Kings Lakers. So I'm rooting for the Lakers, I think. But as a realist, I feel like a better matchup for the Kings are the Clippers. I think they could beat either team in the first round. But boy, this season would take on a totally new dimension if it's Kings-Lakers and they beat the Lakers for once in a playoff series.
Oh, no doubt. I definitely agree with you on that. I think that would probably be the greatest sports accomplishment ever, right behind saving the team.
Yep.
And I mean, saving the team is 1A.
Sure.
Beating the Lakers
Yes.
in a series probably would be like 1A -/B.
I
Point
hear
2.
you. I know.
It's right up there for our fans.
So the Lakers mean more than the Warriors, I'm understanding.
Oh, no doubt.
Definitely.
No doubt.
Yes.
You know, I think it's more so for our, I'm not going to say our fan base. I think it's just something that historically we wanted to try to get done because they've never been in the playoffs together.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you're talking about the rivalry part of it, oh, no doubt it's the Lakers hands down.
Totally get that. And also the injury update. So Anthony Davis, D'Angelo Russell, LeBron James are all listed as day-to-day with foot injuries.
So in other words, we have no idea.
All 3 of them have foot injuries. We don't know yet, but we do know, of course, just to remind people, Paul George has been out for the Clippers for a while.
Yeah, Paul George is not playing. But again, and part of the mix here is Paul George going to be back for a first-round series or not? Because if he's not, then obviously I think the Kings-Clippers matchup is the easier route for the Kings in my mind. Paul George healthy and back, you could make a debate. Clippers might be tougher than the Lakers.
Well, I would say this. Time is of the essence. And even if Paul George was able to come back, Paul George is not going to have a couple of games getting game shape. It's going to take him a second.
That's true.
To get right back into game shape. And those games that he's not into game shape, those are games that the Kings could win and definitely push themselves and give themselves some equity if they got to go a seven games slide.
10 seconds till we're back.
Okay. Welcome back in the game night right here, Sactown Sports 1140. Scott Marshall on with the high flyer, Henry Turner. We've got Kyle Ledbetter producing, engineering this broadcast, leading us through our YouTube chats during the break. A great conversation in our YouTube. We encourage you to go online and watch us there. Give us a like as well. The breakdown of the Kings and who they could play. Obviously, Lakers and Clippers are playing tonight. That is a monster game. They're both at 41 and 38. The winner of that game most likely is going to be in the playoffs. The loser most likely, it's not 100%, but it's most likely they're going to be in the play-in. And obviously, the winner of that game has a great chance of matching up against the Kings in the first round. So who do you want? Who do you not want? Tough question, but I know you and I agree on this. I mean, this has been an unbelievable season, but if the Kings and the Lakers match up in the first round and somehow the Kings able to beat the Lakers, this season has become an epic season. You could make an argument it's become the best season in Kings history. Just by that alone.
History. Without even having a championship. If the Kings could beat the Lakers in the first series, that would be epic. That would be bigger than having the All-Star game in Sacramento. It would be truly this city.
Yes.
I mean, you see how the beam goes up when they light it?
Oh, yeah.
The roof would just
blow off the place.
If the Kings could be able to do that.
There's no question. Now, on the opposite side of that, Kings-Lakers matchup in the first round and somehow Lakers beat the Kings. Does it taint how great this season has been?
No, it wouldn't.
Boy, it would be such a letdown, though.
It would be a letdown for our team and our fans, for sure. But it wouldn't be, just throw everything away that these guys have done. No, you can't do that. No way, no how.
Of course not. But it's just people who have been in this community for a long period of time and
that's
lived through
Scott, that's just us, and we are in our feelings.
True. We're in our bubble.
That has nothing to do with how well this team has performed.
Absolutely.
It almost goes back to the banner type situation. Let these guys do what they do and just, love them for what they've given us this year.
In terms of the Kings' easiest path out of the first round, if it were between Clippers and Lakers, what do you think is I won't say there isn't an easy first round series. So that's the wrong word.
There's no easy route.
Who do you like most in terms of a first round matchup for the Kings?
I told you I'm more so adept of taking the Clippers because of the Paul George situation. Okay, yes, you have your number one. You have your Batman and Kawhi Leonard. And even if Paul George comes back, let's say PG-13 is back, but he hasn't had time to play. He hasn't had time to get into game shape. You know what? It might take him 2 or 3 games to get back to where he once were. And if the Kings could grab those, I think it would be an easier route than to see a healthy AD, a healthy LeBron, and the rest of the complimentary guys they got going down there in LA.
Yep. All right, Kings and Mavs tonight. We'll break that down in the next segment. Let's go around the league. Let's look back last night. There were a ton of games that meant a lot. Obviously, both conferences, a lot up for grabs still. Maybe the game of the night in Philadelphia, the Sixers survive against Boston 103-101. Embiid, 52, 13, and 6. Should they just deliver the trophy to him right now?
I thought he already had it.
I agree with you. But is that lights out? Good night.
Scott, I thought he had that when he went down and just straight mollywhopped Jokic, man-to-man, mano-a-mano, because all we were talking about at that particular time was it's a two-man race.
Yeah.
It's Jokic, it's Embiid. When they went head-to-head, oh, boy. It wasn't even no contest at that particular point.
Yeah, and the thing of now with Jokic having missed 3 games, he came back, only had 14 points last night. I feel like it's more between Giannis and Embiid, if there's still a discussion.
If Giannis, you know what? I don't even think Giannis is in the conversation with Embiid right now. He's definitely there in the conversation of MVP, but I think Embiid has this hands down.
I agree.
I mean, he's played the most, he's had longevity, and he's really just straight dominated this league. Nobody has been able to do anything with him.
It's his third 50-point game of the season, and he has been incredible. Now, Giannis maybe is the best player on the best team. Bucks are going to finish with the best record, but that's not – there's no criteria for MVP. It's just your opinion of what you think MVP is, and I would agree with you. I do think it will be Joel Embiid. Other games last night, speaking of the Nuggets, they got blown out by the Rockets on the road. The Nuggets, I won't say they're mailing it in, but they're pretty close to doing that. And, if it wasn't for a hold-on win against the Warriors on Sunday night, they could be in a little jeopardy of losing that first seed. They're not going to because they're 3 games ahead of Memphis.
Right.
They're going to have the number 1 seed, but they are definitely in coast mode getting ready for the playoffs.
I would say that. I wouldn't say, whoa, the Nuggets are in trouble because they're losing these basketball games. No. I wouldn't say that. We know Mike Malone way too well for that. I think Mike will have that team playing back up to their par when the playoffs start.
And the Joker has to be at 100%.
Right. And I just think right now that they know where they are and there's no need to risk it.
No. Let's see here. Heat win. They're 1 game back of the Nets. They beat the Pistons last night. Donovan Mitchell, 4 straight 40-point efforts. Had 43 last night against the Mavs. Is he like the top 4 in the MVP? Take them in any order. I think it's Embiid, Giannis, Jokic, and Tatum. Yes, that's what I would say. Those are the 4. You can debate the argument afterwards. Is now Mitchell 5th? I think Sabonis will get some votes for number 5, but the way Mitchell is closing out this season, it's hard to say he doesn't deserve top 5 consideration.
He does. He really does. Spider-Man has definitely, put that team on his back. And, as Herculean as Sabonis has been, and I definitely think he deserves some votes also, but Donovan Mitchell definitely deserves some votes for what he's been able to do with that Cleveland Cavalier team.
Yeah, he's been awesome. Speaking of the Nets, they lost last night. The Timberwolves able to get that job done last night. That was a good win for them on the road.
No doubt.
T-Wolves are 40-40, so they're still a team. They're not going to be a playoff team most likely now, but they're going to be right in the thick of the play-in. I tell you what, the play-ins are going to be great games. I mean, right now it's Minnesota, Oklahoma City. You got the Lakers and the Pelicans in the first game. I mean, it's going to be a battle just to get out of that play-in.
Question.
Yep.
Do we see Zion in the play-in?
I think we do. I mean, I haven't heard. I don't know if Coach Green was supposed to speak today in New Orleans about Zion, give us an update. There isn't anything posted that I've seen, but my gut feeling is we heard he was playing 3-on-3 yesterday, right? So
okay. So he is in the arena
yeah.
and he is participating in some type of basketball activity.
Yes. And the Pelicans are playing well. I mean, you put Zion into that mix with a team that's playing well, even though the Kings smoked them last night. It's a team that can make some noise.
You know what? It's a team that could be scary once they get their number one guy back.
I agree. Let's see here. From last night, any other things we want to go over? Of course, the Grizz win. They beat the Trailblazers, who have completely mailed it in. The Grizz are at 50 wins, and I think we got to give the Grizzlies a ton of credit because I know how I felt when the Morant thing was going down. Steven Adams out, still hasn't come back. Brandon Clark out for the year.
Yep.
I honestly thought the Kings were going to catch the Grizz, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen now.
Well, the Kings were supposed to catch the Grizz. Mm-hmm. They definitely were. If they would have took care of business, they were supposed to catch the Grizzlies, and they probably would have been in the 2 seed right now. But for the Grizzlies, they bounced back. And honestly, Scott, they were able to hold court. Because, like you said, when the whole Ja Morant thing, how many didn't Ja miss 8 games?
9
games?
Yeah.
And they were still able to win, 7 or 6 of those games without him? And then, like you said, Steven Adams has been out for a long time.
Yep.
Is he going to come back for the playoffs? Because, see, we don't never get to hear what's going on with these players. All we know is they're going to be reevaluated.
The reports are bogus for the most part.
So we're just thinking these guys are just sitting around because they're injured. It's not that type of situation. Now, is he going to bounce back? Mm-hmm. Maybe so.
Right. We'll see where the Grizz, where they go in the playoffs here. Okay, Lakers, they won that overtime game last night. Had to play a lot of people, a lot of minutes. LeBron, 37 points, but more importantly, maybe 42 minutes. Said it didn't help him last night. We don't know as of right now if he's going in the game versus the Clippers. We don't know if AD is going. We don't know if D'Angelo Russell is playing in that game, but it was a huge win for them on the road to win in overtime in Utah.
Yeah, for those guys to go out there and get that win. And I'm still kind of leery when I look at LeBron James and say, is he 100% in? And I'm also leery of Anthony Davis. Is Anthony Davis 100% in with LeBron James?
Fair questions. I think the fact that LeBron played 42 last night might be a partial answer to the question. Would he have done that if he wasn't 100 in?
I think it was a situation to where he had to. Now, I want to say ever since LeBron got the record, it's been questions about him and Anthony Davis's relationship.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, again, when LeBron broke the record, all you need to see is AD's reaction.
Move.
Didn't even look at it.
Didn't move.
Could have cared less.
If you rocking with your guy, I don't care what type of game you having, when he makes that historic shot,
you're running out on the floor.
You jump
You're picking him up.
Exactly. You give him all the type of love that you need to. This dude sat on the bench and looked down at the floor.
Did not care one bit.
That says a lot.
It does. It says everything in my mind.
Body language says a lot, and that did right there.
I agree. Warriors won last night, so they're 33-8 at home. That's how they finish out the home schedule. They'll play their last 2 games on the road, including here Friday against the Kings. And the Suns, they beat the Spurs last night, 115-94. So the Suns are most likely going to be the 4 seed and have first-round home court advantage. But the way that's shaping up right now, Suns and Warriors in a first-round matchup.
Ooh, that's going to be tough.
Epic if that happens.
You know what? KD get to go up against his old squad.
That is the round of first round, or the series of the first round.
Because you know what? Everybody is talking about, I mean, and this has been the knock on KD, and it still probably will be. But the knock on him is, can you win a championship without your Golden State guys?
Yep.
The move you made to Golden State, is that the only reason why you have a championship? You're one of the greatest players who have stepped on the floor and supposed to be an alpha dog when you talk about being a number 1 player, but you have never done it without those guys that you had at Golden State.
It could be very interesting. That could be the series of the first round, unless it is Kings and Lakers. All right, we go to the break. When we come back, we'll get you to the Who's on the Floor report. We'll break down Kings and Mavs. Sacramento going for win 49. It's game night right here, Sactown Sports 1140.
All righty, we're clear.
All right. What's the latest in the chat room since we went back?
Well, following up on the Anthony Davis Lakers conversation,
Yes.
it's interesting where they stand right now, because with a win, they control their own destiny to the 5 seed. With a loss, they're probably headed for 7, assuming the Warriors take care of business.
Sure,
which is
if
not a
they win
guarantee.
out, they have the tiebreaker, to your point.
Yes, they win out. They hold the tiebreaker there. Also, you mentioned Zion Williamson earlier.
Yep.
The update today is there will be an update tomorrow.
Oh, that's helpful.
So
We are evaluating our reevaluation on Thursday.
expected tomorrow.
Yeah,
If we're going to get a reevaluation.
I'll
on
make
Zion.
sure to stay up for that one.
Yeah, and like you said, Pelicans are. We don't know where they're going, but they're essentially locked into a play.
They have a play-in clinched.
Oh, there you go.
Yes.
They are going to a play-in round, whether it's 7, 8,
Yes.
9, 10, still to be decided. but-
Correct. And I mean, Minnesota, for the most part, is in as well.
Mhm.
I mean, the Mavs still have a chance against the Thunder, but the Thunder own the tiebreakers against Dallas.
Yeah, if the Mavs lose tonight, they are 2 back with 2 to play. You can basically
It's
write
over.
it up as the Thunder are going to be the 10 seed, which shout out to SGA over there in Oklahoma City, because that team, if he weren't on that team, they'd be right there with the Thunder and the Spurs or the Rockets and the
They're
Spurs.
a
in the
20-win
lottery.
team without him, although I think they have some good young talent. But you know what? We'd say that about the Rockets. They have some good young talent. The Pistons have some good young talent, but they're still, bottom line, they're 15, 20-win teams.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I see it the exact same way.
Yeah.
But still, that's why you go out and play, because any particular night, Scott, anything can happen.
That's more than true. We've seen it. We've seen that happen.
If Oklahoma City loses in the 10-9 play-in game, that's a huge accomplishment for their team.
Yeah, it's a stepping stone, right?
Absolutely.
And the fact they're not in the lottery is a stepping stone. I mean, they've been playing for the lottery forever.
At least the last 2 or 3 years, and obviously they get the equivalent of 2 first-round picks.
Yeah,
next
I mean, they
year.
have like 47 first-round picks over the next several years. They don't need to be in the lottery anymore.
But in addition, Chet Holmgren is basically a
coming
rookie
back
next
from the
year.
lottery. You're absolutely right about that.
That'll be a fun situation there. We got some time here. So the Kings have to go 2-1 to get to 50 wins,
Yes,
correct?
yes, they do.
So
48 plus 2 is 50.
this is true.
Just checking, Kyle, with that UC Davis education.
So how
easy?
Hey, I'm from UC Davis also.
how
I could have said Cal State Fullerton education.
NCAA would be fighting.
Aren't we always fighting? Thank God we're not physically fighting.
I think we would physically fight on that one.
Okay.
So
I'll keep quiet.
how confident are we feeling about getting to 50? Obviously tonight, Mavericks, Warriors, and then Nuggets.
It can happen. I mean, and especially when you talk about that last game. And I honestly think Denver's just going to roll out, a generic lineup.
Yep.
So I'm thinking if the Kings really want that game, they can have it. It's all about these two that right now, the Dallas Mavericks and the Golden State Warriors.
Yep, I agree with that. I know the team cares about 50. I don't care at all about 50 wins. Like, to me, it's about playoff seeding right now. So I still like the possibility of them getting to the 2 seed. That's why I think they should play everybody tonight, because I think there's a huge advantage of being the 2nd seed versus the 3rd seed, because most likely that 3-6 matchup is going to be a lot harder.
Newsflash to people, the difference between 49 and 50 is basically insignificant. It's just the big 50 number that makes
But it's
a
important to
difference.
the team. They've come out and said they want 50 wins.
It's all meaning is all you assign to it. We're 5 seconds out.
Yep.
We're out at 24:00.
All right. Wrapping things up on game night right here, Sactown Sports 1140. Kings Live pregame coming up at 5 o'clock. Jason Ross in with the high flyer for that. G-Man with the call in Dallas, 5:30 tip. We appreciate everybody watching online on our YouTube at Sactown Sports. Good chat discussion during the breaks on our YouTube. Kings and Mavs tonight. Let's assume Kyrie and Luka are playing. That's the latest that we have. Let's also assume that everybody's playing for the Kings. We'll get updates in Kings Live pregame that it'll be a little better than what we have at the moment. But let's just assume both teams are at full strength. What do you expect to see tonight, and how do the Kings go about tonight going against Luka and Kyrie?
Well, Scott, with all of these basketball games, for me with the Sacramento Kings, it's been more of a mental struggle than anything else. They got to come out with the right mindset. They got to come out with the sense of urgency. A lot of times it's not the X's and O's to where the Kings are losing basketball games and losing quarters and, things like that. It's just that they don't come out with the sense of urgency and come out and play with reckless abandonment like they need to.
Yeah, agreed with that. By the way, our Who's on the Floor report is brought to you by Gold River Floors. Our employee-owned 3 locations to serve you: Sacramento Flooring off Power Inn Road in Sacramento, Gold River Carpet One off Highway 50 in Rancho Cordova, and Gold River Flooring America off East Bidwell in Folsom. As we told you, Luka and Kyrie are available to play. Kings have everybody available to play as well. Last night, just going back to your point, the Kings did not get off to a great start. It was a pretty ugly first few minutes. They flipped the switch pretty quick, and I don't know if it was timed with Keegan Murray taking the elbow to the head from Sabonis or not, but it felt like at that point in time, things started clicking afterwards. But, I mean, to your point about the Kings coming out with the right mindset, did they come out with the right mindset last night? I mean, obviously, they played a great game.
No, because they came out slow.
Yeah.
They came out very slow. And you know what? Let me retract that. They might have came out with the right mindset, but I honestly felt like the Kings really just settled for 3-point shots that didn't fall.
Yeah.
And, really didn't pick it up on the defensive side. But once Malik Monk came into the game and brought his energy and his effort out there, he knocked down a couple of shots. Then Keegan started feeling froggy. He knocks down shots. De'Aaron Fox is playing with Malik Monk, and we know the camaraderie that they have. So things start to click and things start to work when Malik Monk was inserted into the game.
Yeah, he was the X factor, as he is in so many games. And plus the fact the Kings shot the light out of the ball. I mean, 17 threes. Keegan was great. I mean, from
the second quarter on, yes. That first quarter, they struggled.
No, it was ugly to begin with. But once they got it going offensively, the defense turned up.
It was over with.
It was. And Davian's effort, as we've seen time and time again, that effort in the backcourt forcing the 8-second violation just kind of epitomized what they were getting after.
You know what? I tell you what I did see too, Scott, and this was in the first quarter. I seen De'Aaron really turn up the effort on the defensive side in the first quarter, because he was D'ing up pretty hard. And you can see it when De'Aaron D's up, because he's definitely body on body with his man. And then in the second half, I really thought the Kings did a great job on BI. The way they funneled him into where the help was and let somebody else beat them.
Yeah, they did, because Ingram has been playing as good of basketball as anybody in the NBA over the last 10-game stretch. All right, that's going to do it for game night. It's always great to work with you, Henry. Have a lot of fun on the call tonight.
Yes, sir.
All right, coming up next, Kings Live pregame. Jason Ross is here for that. Him and the High Flyer, they'll take you up until 5:30. The G-Man with the call tonight. Kings and Mavs, final game between these two teams. It's the last regular season game of the year for the Kings, looking for win 49. We'll find out who's all playing on both sides. We believe everybody a go tonight in Dallas. Keep it tuned here all evening long. Sacramento Kings basketball right here on Sactown Sports 1140. Have a great night, everyone.
All righty. Thanks for stopping in, YouTube people. TJK, you were very active today. So thanks for stopping in. First time, long time, all that good stuff. Light the beam. Let's go.
Let's do it.